Hi, guys. Welcome back to Injustice for All with Judge Joe Brown. And this is episode 26. And I think I got it right this week. How are you, Judge?
Doing well. That's 26 weeks out of the year.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're
52 in the year, so I guess that's half a year, 6 months.
yeah. So we're going to be talking about Pam Bondi. She is coming for the sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. The U.S. Department of Justice has designated a list of sanctuary jurisdictions based on actions and policies that materially impede enforcement of federal immigration statutes and regulations. These designations were made after a thorough review of documented laws, ordinances. Oh my God. Ordinances. Yes, thank you. An executive directive by the listed jurisdictions. This initial list of designated sanctuaries jurisdictions will be reviewed regularly to include additional jurisdictions and remove jurisdictions that have remediated their policies, practices, and laws. Each state, county, and city will have an opportunity to respond to its placement on the list. And I want to play this clip here of Pam Bondi talking to that.
General Pam Bondi. Pam, welcome back. Good to have you back. All right, before we get to the guy, this is just breaking, this letter that you have signed and now apparently sent out. I know this has happened in our nation's capital, and I guess the police chief or the mayor or somebody there, had been telling police officers, the Metropolitan Police Department there, not to give up people that are in the country illegally. I thought we had a supremacy clause in the Constitution.
Sean, we do. D.C. will not remain a sanctuary city actively shielding criminal aliens. Will not happen. Under Donald Trump's directive, D.C. will become safe again, and it will become clean again. And I think what's happening is it's a combination of an extremely divisive city council. You have liberal judges, you have no cash bail, as you said, you have juveniles running rampant over this city, and you have a Metro Police Department. They want to do their jobs. And we have been out there for the last few nights with all of our federal agencies, Sean. They have been working so hard, working together. We've made 156 arrests, 27 firearms have been seized, child pornographic material has been seized, over 200 fentanyl pills taken off the street, a homicide suspect with a firearm. And we are going to protect D.C. and make it safe again. But, I think the most impactful thing that's happened, despite what we've seen with these crazy protesters out there, citizens are coming out of their homes and they're going up to these law enforcement officers and they're thanking them for keeping them safe and making the streets safe again. An elderly woman walks up to law enforcement and thanks them so she can go to the market again. So they are seeing the impact of what our law enforcement officers are doing under Donald Trump's directive, and they're going to continue to do it. We're going to work hand in hand with state, federal, local officers, and we're going to make D.C. safe again.
Fundamentally, when you have a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state, aren't you, by definition, aiding and abetting in the law breaking? Mm-hmm. And if you are protecting them and not allowing, even though the federal government would have jurisdiction constitutionally, are you aiding and abetting? Are these politicians that are purposely hiding illegal immigrants or not informing or working with ICE, are they themselves guilty of crimes?
Well, and what they're trying to do, they're trying to protect criminal aliens. And what's going to happen if we keep this up? Criminals are going to flee to D.C., and we're not going to let that happen. And that's why, at my directive, we have made Terry Cole now the commissioner over the police. We have made Gaddy Serralto my U.S. Marshal. He runs the entire show, keeping everyone organized, and they report directly to me, and I report to the President of the United States. So, yes, you must comply. You must give the information to our ICE, to our Homeland Security officers. If they have information of an illegal alien living in D.C., they must give us that information, and we are going to stop crime, Sean, in D.C., and we're going to clean it up in this country. And President Trump is committed to that. No longer is that going to happen in this beautiful city where our tourists come, where our residents live. We all live here. We are going to keep it safe. And it's our nation's capital. It's beautiful, and it's going to be beautiful and clean again.
Let's cut this to the chase. This is a lot of glitz and stuff for appearances. The fact of the matter is we need some grand juries to convene, because the statute that deals with this, Title 8, Section 1324, has been on the books for decades. Many prosecutions have followed from it. And essentially, a sanctuary city is by definition a felony violation of 8/1324 United States codes. So I used to represent people charged with this section's violation 45 years ago. So it's nothing new. All of this stuff about federal preemption, of course it's true. That's what the Constitution says. All this other stuff she doesn't need to say. But I mean, I suppose it's politics. But the reality is there are some people that have severely violated American law and need to be in jail, or at least sentenced for whatever the federal guidelines dictate that they should get. Mm-hmm. It is Chapter 8, Section 1324, etc. of the United States codes. You can look it up and you can see what's in there. And it's clear as day. And it says you're not exempt because of your official status. There's no exemption if it occurs in an official location. It is criminal. It flatly prohibits it, giving aid, comfort, advice, counseling, procuring, invitation to, assisting in the transportation, the concealment, assisting someone in evading apprehension, detention, deportation, and all of that's illegal. Mm-hmm. So Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass out in California doing what they're doing. When you hear about this situation in D.C., when you hear about other mayors talking about this, they're breaking the law. Right. And if they actually give instructions to their law enforcement officials, which in some cities, in some states, the mayor is actually over law enforcement and is the executive in charge of that function, then that compounds the crime. So I'm just waiting for the indictments. Since it's national, you can basically go where you want and present it in front of a grand jury, and there's ample probable cause that some offense has been broken or committed, rather. So let's see some prosecutions.
Right. She issued. This is a letter from, I guess it would be her office.
It's too nice.
She listed the states and counties and cities of these sanctuary cities and states. They so this is their fish for them to cooperate. But you have the mayor of Boston, the governor of Washington responding to Attorney General Pam Bondi, saying that they would not be bullied or intimidated or threatened.
Stop. You know where she went wrong with this whole thing? Same thing you saw with Fannie down in
Georgia,
Atlanta, but the opposite way. The letter should have started, "You are a target of federal investigation. You may respond to this if you wish, but please be advised that you have certain rights under the Fifth Amendment to remain silent. Anything you say can and may be used in evidence against you. It is suggested strongly that you first contact legal counsel before responding. And you are hereby given notice that you are a target of a federal criminal investigation." That's how it should have started off.
Well, this is a letter that she sent Governor Newsom, which is pretty much probably what she sent to the other governors Dear Newsom, the United States has a long history of cooperation with state and local enforcement agencies, including for immigration enforcement. Such cooperation is vital to enforce federal law and protect national security. Recognizing the need, Congress has codified the duty of states and local governments to cooperate in immigration enforcement efforts. Far too long, so-called sanctuaries jurisdiction policies have undermined this. As chief of law enforcement officers, I am committed to identifying state and local policies and practices that facilitate violations of federal immigration laws to impede lawful federal immigration operations and taking legal action to challenge such laws, policies, or practices.
She can proceed civilly. That's a nice civil letter. But the point of the matter is there is a clear violation of federal criminal law. And she should have advised them of their Fifth Amendment rights, or at least, as is usually the case, if you have an individual client and you're a defense lawyer and they know you represent that person because you come in with that person, they'll send you a target letter. Please be advised that your client is a target of a federal criminal investigation.
So you're saying she should have been more stern?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's a nice little political, diplomatic letter. But the problem is what Newsom has been saying he's going to do, and the written instructions he's issued violate the law. I mean, that's a slam dunk. It's like, did you write this? Is this your, or did they do an auto pen on this? Did you back this up, or is this you, or this AI where it's faking it that you said this and this is the recordation? Did you at any time, this is the kind of thing, excuse me, my client takes his, exercises his Fifth Amendment right. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. We have nothing to say at this point. Don't answer that. That's the way it's supposed to work. But I mean, they're being real nice, and I'm rather disappointed considering how lawless the country has gotten, and how hollering the other side is about we need law and order, that they're not going there. Go. You have a free pathway. They're green lights. The train is going along the track. And when the train goes along the track, you get the green light the whole way down.
Well, what you're saying that the DOJ needs to be doing, these mayors and governors are doing just that. They're pushing back, saying we are not going to comply.
You see, the pushback violates the law. It specifically says that. So every time they push back, it's like, okay, that's one more count in the indictment. So every time they issue one of these, they are supposed to, the art of English and writing today, I guess, is a dead art for a lot of people that ought to know it. And I've read some very clumsy indictments, but it ought to say count one, so count two, count three, count four, and list every one of these incidents that they are doing what you call pushing back, because the process of what is being called pushback is a crime. The way they're doing it.
Now, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu reiterates
she's one of the worst.
Yeah, she will not comply with the Trump administration and the DOJ to cooperate with ICE, says deporting criminal illegals is oppression.
Okay, now stop there.
Okay.
1956, Governor Orville Faubus of Arkansas said this. He wasn't going to comply with the federal law, which gave, according to the U.S. Supreme Court, and the federal appellate courts that reviewed it, it gave President Eisenhower free rein to send in the troops and impose federal order. So this is a matter that is a matter of national security and public peace, dignity, and order. And she is advocating the violation of those laws. So under the circumstances, it's criminal. So go get her. You don't need to be nice. And see, here's the other thing. So many people that are in charge of these things are so unaware of how the system actually works that they're in charge of directing, that unless somebody tells them, they stumble along. And that's why it takes so long to do stuff now, is because They have a sense something was wrong, but they can't articulate it until somebody shows them what to do, or you get some of the rookies that just got out of law school and hired to do tedious research that somebody that was learned and knowledgeable about it could say, hey, this is where you need to go. You don't need to research. This is it. And there you go. But they don't know. So they're wasting time, and they don't need to be nice. There's a clear violation of the law. Go after it.
Yeah, because Mayor Wu responded with a letter, but she also held a press conference, and she had all of the immigrants, and I'm pretty sure some of them were illegal, standing behind her, coming up to the podium. But I want to play this.
You know how this goes at trial? If there were a trial on this and she wanted to go to trial rather than working out an arrangement to plead, what would happen is, ma'am, please, ma'am, do you recognize this? Is that or is that not your signature, ma'am? Well, it looks like my signature. Would you please take a moment and read this item, Your Honor? We have proposed Exhibit 47 that we have passed, that Your Honor is allowed to be passed up to the witness for the record. Do you recognize that? You do? Well, ma'am, isn't it a fact on or about such and such date you sent that letter announcing your intentions? Well, obviously it speaks for itself, does it not? So how can you sit here and deny that you did not intend to break this law by publishing and posting a letter that said you intended to? Where's this? Did you not do what you say you're going to do in this letter? See, you tear them up.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant herself got on the witness stand and confessed that they wrote this letter announcing their intention of breaking the law. There is no way they can deny this. They got on, and we played you multiple recordings where they said they were going to do it. And the physical evidence and the other documentation that the government has produced shows beyond a reasonable doubt, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that this woman committed the crime that she's charged with.
So what she's doing with this press conference is basically displaying, she's displaying that she's breaking the law by holding this press conference.
She's doing the exact same thing Fannie Willis is doing, did down in Georgia.
I want to play
the same thing. What is it that this disgraced prosecutor that people are lamenting? Well, why didn't she get so and so and so and so? You know, the one that was talking about she got set upon, but she admitted all of the criminality. Apparently, she was too ignorant to realize what she was doing was crime. What's the one up in Baltimore?
Marilyn Mosby.
Yeah, that one.
Let me play this clip.
Astonishing. Anyway, this is fun. I mean, this is what I did as a profession.
Did you hear that?
What's that?
Did you hear the video?
Yeah, I heard the video. I mean, it's just.
I'm gonna play it. All right, so let me play it.
Well, I see her mouth moving. I can't hear anything.
You don't hear nothing. All right. Well, give me.
No, I thought you.
No.
Didn't realize her mouth was moving.
Give me a second. Let me share it again.
We're here again.
You hear that?
Yeah, we're here again.
Okay.
We're here again today because last week, Boston received a letter from the Attorney General of the United States on official letterhead from the federal government threatening to prosecute city officials and withhold federal funds unless we cooperate with carrying out mass deportations. At a time when this federal administration is already causing so much fear and harm in our communities, these threats are serious and consequential. But our same communities have told me, loud and clear, that silence in the face of oppression is not an option.
The U.S. Attorney General asked for a response by today. So here it is. Here is our response. Stop attacking our cities to hide your administration's failures. Unlike the Trump administration, Boston follows the law. And Boston will not back down from who we are and what we stand for.
You know what? Your Honor, Mr. Brown, what are you doing? Your Honor, I'm playing those violins that provide that weird music in the background in a movie when somebody's about to catch it.
Don't you know, after when she said her speech here, right? When she read her speech, she read it again in Spanish.
Well, you know what else is weird too? Yeah, I got that. I had picked
But I'm
up.
just like, see, that's the problem now. That's the because this is not a bilingual speaking country. This is an English speaking.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. See, you're insulting good Hispanic citizens. They want to follow the law, just like we all want to follow the law. Just because somebody is black and comes from Haiti doesn't mean they should be able to violate the immigration codes. You might be Caucasian and Germanic, but that doesn't mean you want some German coming in here and it's World War II sabotaging the defense interest of your country. You can be Asian, Chinese. That doesn't mean you want the People's Republic of China to slip in some military age youth and come in and blow up a building where one of your relatives has an office. See, I mean, this is this presumption that somehow or another, it's the same problem that we get with BLM and all of this nonsense. Skin ain't necessarily kin, you know, when it comes to interest. And that's what she's doing. This is so racist. In other words, I'm going to speak Spanish. Habla español. And you're supposed to be sympathetic to breaking the law of the country of which you are a citizen. They've got some people who are Spanish speaking by family, whose family has been citizens of this country longer than a whole lot of other people. So, I mean, it is an absolute insult considering the honorable service that Spanish-speaking individuals have given in law enforcement and in the military to the interest of this country. Spanish Harlem. They had the Harlem Hellfighters in World War I. It was a huge 18,000-man division that went over and fought gallantly in the trenches of Europe, or the French, basically. But they were composed of people who were half from Puerto Rico. Habla español muy bien. And to insult them by saying that they did not have the dignity of displaying their patriotism, even though there were other problems, and could not do it with their brothers down the roadway in the rest of Harlem. So, I mean, it's interesting that they want to shoot. It's just insulting. So, right. I mean, the other point is, I love it that her letter said there is a criminal investigation. This fool has been put on notice and she's still doing it. I mean, that's like that Superman movie we were talking about. I won't get into it, but it's a farce. This is like, what is that farce thing they had, Airport, where they made fun of all the cliches? This is like something that a comedian would come up with in a 1972 edition of Saturday Night Live.
So we have another one now. So Mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, is not the only one.
All dummies.
This here is the governor of Washington State, and he's replying to Pam Bondi.
So let me start by saying that I recently received a letter from U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. I think you all have a copy of that. It purports to notify me that Washington State, and these are her words now, has been identified as a so-called sanctuary jurisdiction. That's her line. By the way, on grounds that her letter makes no effort whatsoever to explain. She refers to unidentified policies and practices within Washington state that she asserts violate federal law, once again, without any explanation whatsoever. The letter goes on to invoke federal obstruction, conspiracy.
Stop it. You know what? I just got a better appreciation of AG or U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Do you know what she just sent this fool that he's reading? That is the precise language that's likely to be in an indictment. And it will be no more specific than that. And his defense crew will be trying to find out the specifications. But that is indictment language. That's very good. And he's sitting there saying, what does she mean? And he needs to shut his mouth. And maybe what would have been appropriate, we had an inquiry from Pam Bondi, the Attorney General for the United States, that is being referred to legal representatives of the city and myself, and there will be an appropriate reply if necessary. Now, he's putting himself on notice. He's admitting he got it. And if he does one more act, it will be in knowing violation of the law. He can't even claim the lame, non-weighty point. I was unaware of it, because what is the saying anyway? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. There's no defense.
Statutes that carry criminal penalties with prison time.
Oh, you know.
Bondi even threatens that state officials, including some of the folks who joined me today, by the way, just so we're clear, even threatens that state officials, and I'm quoting now from her letter, operating under the color of the law, using their official position to obstruct federal immigration enforcement efforts, and facilitating or inducing illegal immigration may be subject to criminal charges. That is breathtaking. And a letter like this cannot be normalized. Her letter threatens me, police officers, state troopers, sheriffs, judges, and other officials with prison time.
Yes!
Why? Because our state legislature passed a bipartisan law that appropriately and lawfully limits the diversion of state and local resources to federal immigration enforcement. Washington state is proud to be a welcoming community that values immigrants and refugees' contributions to our economy and our cultural fabric. Pam Bondi seems to believe—
Stop her a second. Stop him a second. Real brief comment. I was just listening to the press release that General Bondi gave, and we just heard part of. This is the stuff that was in writing. This is good work, because this is indictment language. These are specifications of criminal charges. And this fool is acknowledging that he got them. He's reading them aloud, and he's ridiculing them, and says he has no intention of complying with the clear law. Now, that is like the wrong kind of prosecutor getting this, and he's going to have a wet dream and wake up with a messed up bed in the morning after he hasn't gotten it for 2 or 3 weeks.
Cavalierly citing criminal statutes and personally threatening me, a democratically elected governor, will result in compromising the values of my state. That is not going to happen. Pam Bondi seems to think and seeks to have Washington state bend the knee to a Trump administration that day by day drags us closer to authoritarianism. That's not going to happen either. I am not intimidated by Pam Bondi or the president. Nobody standing behind me is intimidated by Pam Bondi or the president.
Oh my. I have a hard time bringing up stuff and staying on here. Let me see if I can bring this up and just read what I'm talking about and what they're referring to.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just read it. Okay. It says, What is the federal harboring law? Harboring. Title 8, subsection 1324, and they cite some numbers. Makes it an offense for any person who knowingly or in a reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, either conceals, harbors, or shields from detection, or attempts to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection. Any such person is in violation of this code section. Let me read some more. Okay. It says, Title 8, United States Code, Section 1324, etc., etc., and it cites some more. I don't need to read all of them. It says, this section prohibits alien smuggling, domestic transportation, or procuring transportation of unauthorized aliens, concealing, attempting to conceal, aiding, or abetting the concealment or harboring of unauthorized aliens, encouraging or attempting to induce unauthorized aliens to enter the United States, engaging in any conspiracy or aiding and abetting any of the preceding acts, and there are quite a few more, comes under subsection so and so and so and so. Subsection 1324, A sub 2, I'll just read one specifically, prohibits bringing or attempting to bring unauthorized aliens to the United States in any manner whatsoever, even at a designated port of entry, etc., etc. Alien smuggling. Subsection, etc., makes it an offense for any person who, knowing that a person is an alien, brings or attempts to bring into the United States in any manner whatsoever such person at a place, etc., other than as permitted or designated at a point of entry, other than etc., regardless of whether or not such alien has received apparent prior authorization to come to, enter, or reside in the United States, and regardless of any future official or official status or claimed official status of any action which may be taken with respect to such alien. Domestic transporting. Subsection so and so makes it an offense for any person who, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, transports, moves, attempts to give assistance, comfort, aid, or abets the transportation or movement of such alien within the United States by means of transportation proffered, offered, or provided, or otherwise in furtherance of such violation of law, etc. Harboring. Subsection so and so and so and so makes it a criminal offense for any person who, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, conceals or harbors or shields from detection, or attempts to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection such alien in any place, including in any building or by any means of transportation or with any alleged official capacity, encouraging or inducing. Subsection makes it etc., makes it a criminal offense for any person who encourages or induces an alien to come to enter into or reside in the United States in any of its parts, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that such coming to, entry, or residence is or will be in violation of the law. Conspiracy, aiding or abetting, subsection, etc., expressly makes it an offense to engage in a conspiracy to commit or aid or abet the commission of the foregoing offenses, even in spite of any apparent official status possessed by the actor. Bringing aliens to the United States. subsection, etc., makes it a criminal offense for any person who knowingly or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has not received prior authorization to come to, enter, or reside in the United States, or bring to, or in any fashion attempts to bring to the United States in any manner whatsoever any such alien or aliens, regardless of any official actions which may be taken by officials other than etc., with respect to said aliens, etc., commits a criminal offense. It goes on at great length. See, what you've got is clear violation of the American federal laws, criminally violating. And exactly what you're looking at is expressly prohibited. It's nothing new that the Trump administration passed. This has been on the books for decades. Like I said, 45 years ago, I defended some people charged with this. So it's like, see, I'm impressed. In spite of her press conference, what she sent to these people turns out to be brilliant. She officially notified them that they are under investigation for criminal activity. She let them try to put on a stage show and get up and make statements that are recorded in front of many, 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 many witnesses, potentially millions. And those recordings are admissible into evidence these days. So they admit they got notice, but they are announcing their intention to continue to violate or compound the wrongdoing that they've been up to. So let's see some grand jury foremen sign off on the indictments. It's going to be nice. And by the way, these indictments are not going to result in overturned verdicts by somebody claiming that they're trying to do something like civil disobedience, because this isn't a civil rights thing. This is clear violation of criminal law. So they're not going to win on appeal like we just got notice that Donald Trump did on a civil matter, but we'll get into that later. Go ahead. Now, you played him. Oh, let's hear him incriminate himself again. Some more.
I think that was the end of it. Yeah,
okay,
that was
he's done enough. I could cut this fool up in front of a jury if I was.
And that was only a 2 minutes. That was only a 2 minute.
That's totally
his whole speech.
What happens is you get permission from the court to play that. The lawyers have looked at it. It's been authenticated. You play it, and the courtroom just gets hushed, and everybody's going,
right.
He's done. We just saw, if it was a hanging offense, we just saw the noose put around somebody's neck.
Couple more things.
But
couple more things here. So I want to go to Trump vows to end the use of mail-in ballots ahead of the 2026 midterm election. It says U.S. President Donald Trump pledged on Monday to issue an executive order to end the use of mail-in ballots and voting machines ahead of the 2026 midterm elections, a move likely to disproportionately favor his Republican Party. Federal elections are administered at the state level. However, it is unclear if the president has a constitutional power to enact the measure. Legal challenges by some states are likely.
They'll follow. That'll go to the Supreme Court quickly. But the point is he may not have anything to say about state-based elections, but for other things such as those that impact electoral college or U.S. senators, that may be something he can move to. But here's the thing. The mail-in ballot thing started off as a concession to the disability of seniors, those who had physical handicaps, military persons, diplomatic people, people on business affairs who were abroad. You had to show cause why you should be allowed to do a mail-in ballot. This whole thing they have bastardized the process with, where you just mail in. Hey, that's one thing. Other things too is there is also a process of early voting, which is not necessarily bad. It streamlines things, and it's just as subject to close scrutiny as anything else. Those might be taken out of the mix, but what you're looking at is the art of the deal. You see, one of the most effective tactics is, well, hell, you ever been to Tijuana?
No, but let me just quote this, what Trump said. He says,
have you ever been to Tijuana?
No.
Okay, well, you ever been abroad and you go into a marketplace and you're in the bazaar and you look at a leather vest or a leather jacket and you say, "Cuánto?" And the guy gives you a cost. You say, "No, no, no." And you say, "I'll give you $50 for that." You go, "Oh, no, 300. And you say, "I'll give you 75." And he says, 200. And then you meet in the middle at $175 and you bought the jacket. That's the bargain. That's what he's doing with this. And so many people have never been through the process of barter, that they bargain, that they don't get it. In other words, you throw something out that may be outrageous, but that's a bargaining point. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what your ultimate one is. Like sometimes when you're a lawyer and you get a client, you bring them in and you're talking to them, okay, what's your bottom line? Our absolute maximum that we will concede to is the following. Okay, and write that figure down, and what you offer.
Let's get into this. Trump massive $500 million civil fraud fine and AG Tish James case thrown out by New York appeals court. So I want to play this clip real quick.
Now, the way what everybody's been saying for months about that.
Right.
An appeals court has just thrown out President Donald Trump's $364 million civil fraud penalty. This just happened. It is a developing story. We're getting a lot more information, a big news story for the day. We're going to bring you more details as we get them. This just in. Also want to bring you this.
Okay, I read it. That's why I asked you for a little extra time. It's actually two significant parts to it. One, they just said, that's ridiculous. The other thing that they did sustain was purely injunctive relief that in essence is just saying for future reference to clear up the confusion, this is what will be required in New York or between Donald Trump and this bank when it comes to making a deal. You see, the bank's posture was, we haven't had any fraud committed against us. Nothing has been done that we didn't approve of. We assessed this independently. And the fine was totally inappropriate. The interesting and the hypocritical thing about it is right now, Tish James is under investigation herself. And there are formal allegations that she has committed the exact same kind of fraudulent conduct that she was accusing Trump of committing. Such things as securing financing for acquisition of properties outside the state, not reporting those, stating falsely that she was going to be a resident there where she couldn't because of her residential requirements for the office she held for the state of New York. Also, such allegations as she listed her father as her spouse in order to secure them. Such things as that. So this just seems to be the jackass proclivity for hyperbole when it comes to exaggerating what their opponents have done and basically trying to what is it? Cast the blame on somebody else, or oh ye cast the first stone who was out without sin? Yeah.
Right.
So this is just what's going on, and it's like with what happened with President Trump is exactly what I said was going to happen with Dr. Cosby. Didn't I say this is not going to stand because of the following in gross violation of American law? And they just said, this is just constitutionally impermissible for this kind of fine to even be considered for something like this. No way, no how, and it's inappropriate. It's out of here.
So I want to
And by the way, one further thing. Considering potential meetings or phone calls, and the interesting thing is people text a lot these days. There is a possibility that some of these texts or communications can be retrieved, and if they're between the wrong people, then that sets judge, prosecution, and other people up for a conspiracy charge, which is a crime, both in the state of New York and since it would be using federal electronic communications. This sets the stage, by the way, for further criminal investigations. This thing that has been termed lawfare. That's a new term. That's what you're looking at. That's why we have the Bill of Rights in place to stop this. That's 200 and going on 240 years ago, and somebody's tried to resurrect it.
I want to read a quote, part of what Trump had posted on Truth Social to this judgment, this recent judgment that just broke. He says, I greatly respect the fact that the court had the courage to throw out this unlawful and disgraceful decision that was hurting business all throughout New York State. Others were afraid to do business there. The amount, including interest and penalties, was over $550 million. It was a political witch hunt in a business sense, the likes of which no one has ever seen before. This was a case of election interference by the city and state trying to show illegally that I did things that were wrong when, in fact, everything I did was absolutely correct and even perfect.
That's basically an accurate statement of affairs. And see, what's bad about it is you have to juxtapose the situation that's been going on with Title 8, Section 1324, etc., in terms of violation of the American criminal codes, federal criminal codes, where a blind eye has been turned to them. In fact, they have been encouraged by the previous Biden-Harris administration. And this kind of lawfare in violation of the Bill of Rights has been encouraged. So it's like, what are we doing here? To go after somebody when you shouldn't have, and to defend somebody when you shouldn't have. When you put the two sides together, that looks suspiciously like somebody's trying to set up another National Socialist Workers Party, the acronym of which we know well. It's very simple. It stands for, and it says Nazi in German. I was just going to say, I'm very impressed. She set a trap. I didn't realize it. Yeah, she set a beautiful trap. And unless you practice criminal defense law or prosecuted, you might not recognize it. And I just said, whoa, I see what she did. She gave kind of an airheaded press conference, but what she sent out induced these idiots to get on the horn in front of a large public audience and reply to it and basically dig a hole for themselves.
Right. So, all right. So
what did I say? I said, if I were the AG, I'd send them a notice. Please be advised that you're a target of a. She did.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Injustice for All with Judge Jill Brown.